My name is Nancy Azzaro. I'm a retired teacher. I'm an educator, a lifelong learner, a mother and grandmother. I live in Newtown, Connecticut. And I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York in the late 50s and early 60s. It was a great childhood growing up in Brooklyn. I loved it. It was a great experience. I lived in a two-family house, all family members, Italian Americans, and my aunt and uncle and my two cousins, Joy and Esther, lived upstairs, and I lived downstairs with my mom and dad and my brother Arthur. And it was just wonderful. Esther and Joy were very popular. They had a lot of friends, so there were a lot of young people in the house. And Joy had a friend named Sharky, which is a funny name, right? And Sharky was a good friend of Joe Pepitone. And Joe Pepitone played for the New York Yankees. So when Joe Pepitone would come to East 52nd Street, it was a lot of excitement. But he came because he liked the good Italian cooking and the laughter and the fun. And it was just wonderful. And we then moved to Long Island when I got married. And then a few years ago, we moved to Connecticut to be near family. And it was here in Connecticut that I got the idea. It was really an urgency to write this book, Keeping Kids and Teens Safe and Happy. And what happened is that in a local newspaper, I read about a number of child drownings that happened, and I was very disturbed about it. I'm going to read a little bit from the introduction of the book and what happened. And I had found out that one of the little girls who had drowned in a backyard pool was a friend, was a cousin of a friend of mine. And I was so upset about it when she told me about the anguish that the family went through. And I said, well, I have to do something. I didn't know at that time what I was going to do. And then I embarked on this journey of writing this book. And it wasn't easy to write this book because the first part of the book is all about accidental drownings and accidental ways that children are hurt and injured. And it was very disturbing, but I said, I have to do this. I have to do this for the children. And so I just want to read you from the introduction, because you'll get an idea of what motivated me to write this book and why I'm here right now before you. I've thought about writing this book for a long time, but the idea took on more urgency after I moved to Newtown, Connecticut a few years ago to be closer to family. It was here that the idea I've had for years became a must-do. A couple of years ago, I was greatly saddened to read in a local newspaper that two young children drowned in their backyard pools a few weeks apart. One of these tragic events took place before a 4th of July party. I later found out that one of the children was a cousin of a friend of mine. She told me of the anguish the family went through. I also read local news accounts and then listened as my pastor at my parish church recounted having to console the parents and relatives of one of the little girls and presided a funeral mass. He wept softly as he spoke of the tragedy. I was deeply moved and disturbed. I thought of the horror and guilt those parents must have gone through. I wrote a letter to the editor to the local newspaper, the Newtown Bee, suggesting ideas to prevent drownings, which was printed. My friend asked Facebook groups to publish the letter. I made a donation to Stu Leonard's Water Safety Foundation, but I always knew I was going to try to do more. These tragic drownings happen all too often. There was news of another accidental child drowning last week in a nearby Connecticut town. Sadly, it happens all over the United States and throughout the world. Unfortunately, accidents which cause injury as well as fatal accidents, including drownings, happen to children from every socioeconomic group, from every race and ethnicity. This is my small attempt to do something to help shed light on this crisis and to offer parents and grandparents suggestions and reminders on how to prevent drownings as well as other avoidable accidents. Also, there are suggestions on how to make your home environment as safe as possible so as to avoid childhood injuries. This book took on a life of its own. It became much more than I originally thought. So the first part of the book, part 1, is all about how to try to prevent childhood accidents, drownings, and other accidents. And the second part of the book is about how to bring more joy and happiness, stability, gratefulness, laughter, and love into family life. Families need lighthearted moments, laughter, time together in nature, and other positive experiences to have a fun-filled, secure family life where children are nurtured, honored, valued, and loved. And so the book is made up of short chapters, which makes it very easy to read. And the second part of the book, as I said, part 2, is about keeping kids and teens engaged and happy and healthy. So I will be referring to this book during these shows that I'm making. And also, this book is available at the Clare Boothe Library in Newtown. It can be taken out of the library if you would like to read it. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to prevent child drownings. As I researched for this book, I was happy to hear that there are so many new modern devices that parents can have if you have a backyard pool. And of course, backyard pools are lots of fun for families, but children must be watched very carefully and never left alone, not even for a minute, near water of any kind. In later shows, I'll talk about diving accidents, which also is a very big problem. But around pool areas, and I will just read a little bit about that, you have to make sure that you have, of course, gates and fences that have been updated and modernized to keep kids safe. All safety devices, such as pool safety fences, pool alarms, wearable alarm bracelets, secure pool covers, anti-entrapment drain covers, and other life-saving equipment should be available, utilized, and inspected regularly. Also, of course, children should wear life jackets whenever they are in a pool area. And if you're having a party, this is very important because one of these drownings of a child took place before a 4th of July party. During parties, parents can get distracted. So if you're having a party, it's very important to have a lifeguard or a mother's helper, but someone who is very responsible, a babysitter who's just watching the pool area for the entire time, before the party starts until after the party. Also, all pool equipment, such as filters and heaters and timers, should be checked often and in perfectly working order. Have family rules and reinforce them often and review them. One of the most valuable skills you can give your children or your child is to enroll them in formal swim lessons with a certified swim instructor. This should be done at an early age and continued until they are competent swimmers. Also note that hotels and condominiums and private communities may not have lifeguards on duty, in which case parents will have to be even more vigilant. All parents as well as grandparents should take an American Red Cross CPR course and think about, there's some online or some in person, so think about taking one of those courses. It's very important that you have a course like that and you have the expertise that you need. I was also shocked as I was doing research for this book to learn how many children, teens, and young adults, primarily males, get paralyzed from diving into shallow water, either in natural environments or in pools. It was shocking to me, hundreds every year. And I said, well, it would be wonderful if I could bring those numbers down, but I can't do that alone. I can't do any of this by myself. It's just too much. But if there's anybody watching this show who can help me, who can talk to children, talk to family members, because sometimes people are dared to dive. Other teenagers will say, I dare you to dive into that pool or that natural water environment. And they don't know how shallow it is. And these accidents paralyze children and teens. And so we have to try to get those numbers down. I hope you'll help me. If there's any educators, school principals watching this show or teachers, talk to the kids in your school about this, that even if they're dared, they should never, ever dive into shallow water, or water if they don't know the depth of the water. I'm a regular person just like you. I'm an ordinary person, but I put this on myself that I'm going to try to make a change here. But again, I can only do it with your help. I've gone through things like most of you have. I've had happy times in my life. I've been blessed to have good educational opportunities. I've also had rejections in my life. I've also had times when people misunderstood me. That's the human condition, right? We all have experienced that at one time or another in our lives. But so I'm trying to get you to understand that I'm just like you, and I'm hoping that you will relate to me and that you will help me on this mission that I'm on. It really became a mission for me, because when I started reading all the ways that parents suffer and grandparents suffer because of these accidents that happen and the guilt that they feel, and it just takes a couple of minutes, and it's just a disaster for the guilt that people have to live with. So I hope you will help me as I do this. I would also like to read to you from the second part of the book. And this is going to be how my book is and also how the show is. So it's not only going to be negativity, because that would be terrible, but also we're going to learn about benefits and simple tips, ways that you can improve your family life. And one of those ways, which is in the second part of the book, is the importance of getting out in the morning and being exposed to early morning light. Now, neurologists have said, and there are a lot of neurologists on YouTube who are talking about this, is that the morning rays are different from the other rays of the sun. And the morning rays are very beneficial in lifting your mood and helping you to feel better for the rest of the day. It can improve cognition, it can give you better focus throughout the day, and of course, those rays will also help you have vitamin D levels. It will boost your vitamin D levels. And vitamin D levels are excellent for boosting overall health. So try to get out in the early morning after you eat breakfast, 1 or 2 hours after you wake up, and either walk or sit in the sunshine. Walking is best because then you're combining some exercise, which is very good, with being out in the sun's rays. So if you want more information about that, you can go onto YouTube and you can listen to these neurologists who are saying this is excellent for health. So this would be one of the suggestions from the second part, from part 2, keeping kids and teens engaged, happy, and healthy. So on the weekends or when school is out of session, take your kids outside for an early morning walk and let them get some of those rays of the early morning sunlight. Also, they say you should still wear sunscreen. The sunscreen will protect you, but you'll also still get the benefits of the rays of the sun. And so I hope that you'll consider doing that. As I said, I will talk about more in future series about walking and the important benefits of exercise and good nutrition. I also have a website, keepingkidsafeandhappy.com, and on that website I have a recipe for chicken soup, homemade chicken soup. And chicken soup has many, many health benefits, as I explain in the chapter on good nutrition. So you want to keep kids healthy, and that's a way to keep them happy, right? Children are happy when they're healthy. And so, you know, I hope you'll look at my website and you will consider making some of the things that I'm going to suggest, which is chicken soup, lentil soup, stuffed peppers, a lot of vegetables. And so I hope you'll check that out and like my recipe for chicken soup, so I at least get a like for that. So I hope you will watch my show. I hope you will consider reading the book, going to the library and getting a copy of the book. And thank you for watching and for listening. I appreciate it. May I live with peace, and may you live with peace. May I live with goodness, and may you live with goodness. May I be kind to others, and may you be kind to others. May I be a source of healing for others, and may you be a source of healing for others. May I remember to be grateful, and may you remember to be grateful. I would like to thank Western Connecticut Community TV for their training and support. Thank you for watching this show. See you next time.